I remember to turn the cameras on. We'll pull up here a little bit, get light on the skids, right about there. And when we get it where it's not moving, you go ahead and pick it up. I'm looking straight ahead, because I know there's nothing behind me. And this keeps me from sneaking into somebody else's airspace and hitting their rotors or whatever. Do you have any desire to learn how to fly one of these things?
I do. I'm not sure I can do it, though.
You can. Sometimes if you go in with total ignorance, it helps. It took a while for me to get various concepts because I'm a big airline pilot. Everything's done differently. And see, look what I'm doing now. I'm hovering with one finger on the control. It doesn't take a lot. And you stop trends is what you do. That thing wants to move left or backwards, I'll just let it go forward a little bit. Anyway, let's step to the side here a little bit, and then we'll just go right out to the left. This is neat. Never gone out this way before. Didn't realize I had a little road here I could go fly down.
All right, check.
Loud and clear. Real pretty area. Got a lot of tree farming here. It kind of makes it boring, but you know, well. Buzzards are bad news. Stay out of my way. One tried to get me the other day. I had to get rather evasive. We're just kind of puddling along at about 60 miles an hour.
I have this as loud as it goes, and I can barely hear you.
Oh, let's see. One, two. Is that better?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Okay.
Thanks.
I get a little bit tired of the loud radio calls, so I turn it back a little bit. But the helicopter will go up to about 115 miles an hour, but I just don't see the fun in that. So I just kind of puddle it around about 70 to 80 miles an hour most of the time. Stupid buzzard.
Yeah, those are big.
Yeah, they are. Lots of stories with those things going right through the windscreen, right into your lap. There's one guy, he had one come through the front window of his airplane. He turned around, looked over his shoulder, and that thing was sitting there shaking it off. He's like, what was that? And then he wanted out. He started clawing and scratching and flopping around the cockpit until he got out the guy's window.
Oh, that would have been the end of me right there.
Oh. Now, when you're flying in cruise here, you're basically, again, just kind of controlling trends. You got to push forward a little bit constantly to keep it moving forward, because that's what this is, a forward and backward lever, left and right as well. And so, the less you do with it, the better, for the most part.
Very sensitive, right?
Yeah, well, put your hand on it. The nose started to come up, so you put it up a little forward pressure till it stops, and then you go back to middle. And stop it, and back to the middle. Maybe a little bit more forward, that way it doesn't come up again. To stop it from doing the next time. I'm not going to let you hurt me, by the way. So.
Thank you.
Now your nose is down, so just kind of bring it up a little bit and stop it. I got it. Nothing dangerous, but there you go. Right back in the middle. Now we do like to do a little bit faster so we have plenty of energy saved up. I'm going to push this forward a little bit.
That doesn't make it go down, it just makes it go forward.
We're sitting in a pendulum. When the main rotor pulls us forward, the nose kind of until we catch up.
But we're not going down.
No, we're not.
Okay.
I mean, you can make altitude adjustments with the cyclic, but this is your big altitude. This is your up-down lever. The pedals don't do a whole lot since you're at cruise power. I ain't scared yet.
What?
I'm not scared yet. You'll notice how fast your instructor can fix things.
Yes.
Nope. Because I could feel these little trends coming, and I could stop it before you could almost, see it move. Well played. And some guys never learn, individuals, pilots, not necessarily guys, that they'll be pushing for a speed, and they'll back. Find a place halfway between them. That may be where that thing needs to be, and that way you don't have to do as many constant gross correction. You just do little correction.
How do I tell how fast we're going? Where's
right here?
that one? Okay.
And we kind of look for about 60 minimum, because that's a good airspeed if I lose my engine where I can set up a glide real quick. And this is altitude above sea level, and right below it tells you if you're climbing or descending and how fast. I can't get my wife to even touch the cyclic.
Well, I used to fly a Citabria.
Oh!
So, but I never flew a helicopter.
Were you rated? Got your license?
No, I never finished. I was like 2 weeks from being ready to take my... I still had to do my final cross country. I did 2 of them, but I needed to do the long one.
Everything about the cyclic is like the tail wheel on this Citabria.
Oh.
Because you can't steer it down the runway, but once it starts to leave, you stop it, and then maybe you sneak it back. It's just about controlling the trim.
Well, the hardest thing for me was learning to taxi. It took me like 2 weeks.
Well, you're short. You couldn't see over the nose?
No, I couldn't see anything except beside me.
Yeah.
And landing, too. I had to land looking out the side window, but I got good at landing pretty fast once we were off the ground, but it was a long time before he would let me take off because I couldn't taxi. But then I finally got that, and it was easy after that, but hard to learn it.
Look at this.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. All right. Why don't you turn around and go the other direction?
Was this way or?
I don't care. As long as you don't make yourself airsick, you're not scaring me. Some of that I'm reacting to updrafts. And once you get your power set, you can pretty well take your hand off the collective I still got to get a good grip on it now and then.
How come it's not going faster when I... What did you say, 50?
Minimum of 60.
6. So I need to go a little faster.
Yeah, so you'll hold a little forward pressure. There you go. But you know, I've got a lot of altitude, so if I did lose an engine, I got plenty of room to recover the speed. So I wasn't quite as concerned. And you know, in forward flight, your feet are doing pretty much the same thing as they would in a fixed wing. They're just yaw. You don't quite need them as much to coordinate a turn because they never talk about coordinating turns.
We did a lot of talking about coordinating turns.
Yeah. Yeah, when that nose was down that far, I knew it was going to come up pretty, and about halfway up, you know, okay, stop it. So, let me see, where are we? Okay, I know where I am. We may be in somebody else's airspace, so let's keep going up this way. I've got it. Keep a little forward pressure on the stick, just a little bit. But still trying to, you know, protect the pitch angle. I'm holding it there, I haven't changed my power. I am descending, and I'm doing 80 miles an hour. Now if I let go of the pressure, it's going to go nose right up. And that's somewhat of a CG thing. I could probably use a little bit more weight on the front. But this is all we need. Can't fix for everything. Oh, let's see, what time is it? Electronic watches. Yeah. We'll go back. I'll start some my pre-flight, getting the fuel on board to take the wife to the lunch we're going to. Wires kill helicopters, either horizontal or guy wires. They're probably they're the number one fatal thing in flight. On the ground, it's a tail rotor. People are real brave with that ceiling fan. You know, that's not going to scare me. But they're still paying attention to nothing else but it. And they walk right into the tail rotor. That'll part your hair right there.
Yeah.
A lot of what you can do as far as flying your approach, this is where I started with my knowledge. I knew this was the up-down lever. I don't have one installed for you right now, but
Good thing.
I just set that thing, and I adjusted my sink rate using it all the way down, and then you get close to the ground, and when you get out of the clean air, what they call ETL, you feel it shudder when you go that slow. Let me do a little transmit here. Canyon Creek traffic, 660 Juliet Hotel, helicopter is going to enter a left base for runway 09 at Canyon Creek. But as you slow, the whole game is to descend at a rate where it feels like your speed is constant, because your peripheral vision gives you a feeling of speed. So the closer you to ground, the more you got to slow down to make it feel like you're doing the same relative speed to that ground. Takes forever that way, but it's a finesse thing. It's more fun to go screaming in and do one of those quick stops.
Do you ever do that?
Oh, I do, but I really try my best not to impress passengers because I don't want them ever scared. and I don't want to hurt them or me.
Yeah.
The runway I'm going to use is right here.
Funny, I didn't know we were back yet.
I held my surprise.
Take my hands away. I was just trying to feel what you were doing.
No, feel free to leave it there.
Okay.
And you'll feel me start doing a lot of backward nudging to get my speed back under control. The wind direction is more critical to a helicopter than it is a fixed wing. But you never want the wind to move your wake turbulence back up underneath you. Because you'll fall right down into it like a vacuum cleaner. And there's really not a lot of recovery ability on it. Now you can feel this thing start to shudder here in a little bit. And I'll try to announce it. That's when we get down into the hover. Right in there. You see that thing start shuddering? Because the blades are starting to pick up their own wake turbulence from the ground. And so now that is the landing, but we're now hover taxi. Go up here. Canyon Creek traffic, experimental helicopter 660 Julia Hotel at the intersection 27 and 36. I'm going to cross the taxi area at Canyon Creek. My wife is talking, her hands are moving. That's there right in front of us in the black jacket.
Jim, I'm going to have a taxi back up to where you're coming from.
Say again?
I'm going to hover taxi back up to your position up that way.
Not a problem, I'll be down by then. David's gone.
Wow.
Is that okay?
Okay.
That's pretty proud of that. Alright. That's good there, alright.
I don't think I ever landed, well, once I landed the plane that smooth. And I wasn't quite sure I was on the ground.
Well, there's this thing called translating tendency because that tail rotor's fighting all the torque, that it actually pushes the helicopter up under, to the right. So your skid's about 2 or 3 inches lower.
Oh.
And so that skid touched first, and I kind of sat there with mine off the ground, just so the old guys out here would go off. And then I used this to set it back down, so.
Well, the time I landed that smooth was my first cross country, and I was so scared. I was being ridiculously careful, and and I went in to get my logbook signed, and the guy goes, "I never saw anybody land a Tabria that smooth."
Well.
And I said, "Well, it's the first time I ever went by myself on a different airport."
Well, then they're sorry. I'm good.
Canyon Creek traffic, Cessna
Never again,
904 Foxtrot is going to taxi to runway 27 for departure, Canyon Creek.